I'm glad that everybody's here. We have some exciting things to talk about. In addition to the normal explanation of glutathione that I give and our technology, I was invited to address the International Medical Conference on Anti-Aging. And it was held in Mexico City. So my son Ryan and I went to Mexico City, and we had a chance to address about 250 doctors. We had an absolutely packed house, no seats available. And as you'll see in a minute, it changes to a wide shot where you can see the crowd. And it was amazing because every one of these doctors, because of the field they're in, the anti-aging field, we had plastic surgeons. Now here we're looking at booths. There were over 100 exhibits, and most of them didn't seem to be well attended. But by the time you turned the corner and saw our exhibit, the crowds never stopped. They were there, whether there was a session going on, a general session, workshops, it didn't matter. The crowds never stopped coming. And the doctors, clinics, there were skincare clinics, there were health clinics, there were wellness clinics, there were all sorts of representation, plastic surgeons. And they just mobbed our booth around the clock. And I felt bad for everybody else because there just wasn't the activity at the other exhibits that we got. But what had happened is I had a chance to address them first off Saturday morning, and then I did 3 workshops during the day. And it was truly amazing. First of all, realize every one of these doctors knew about glutathione. Every one of them that was there uses IV glutathione with their clients and patients. And yet, as I began to talk, I could see the surprise on their faces because there was a lot about glutathione they had never heard. And there was a lot about IV glutathione. For example, not one of them had ever heard that when you administer IV glutathione, that it doesn't go into your cells as glutathione. It goes into your blood as glutathione. But once it's in the blood, according to Stanford University and a scientist there, once it's in the blood breaks it down into the 3 amino acids, L-cysteine, glutamine, and glycine. And so what goes into the cells isn't the glutathione that you injected or infused. What goes in the cells is L-cysteine, the blood cells, the bloodstream is L-cysteine. Well, actually goes into the cells, L-cysteine, glycine, and glutamine. Then once it gets into the cells, it has to be reconstituted into glutathione, not an easy process. Also, what they didn't realize is that the half-life of glutathione, once it's in the cell, is only 90 minutes. That means it has a declining value like that. And so you get the big bang of an IV glutathione in the first 5 or 6 hours, and then it tails off pretty quickly. And by 24 to 48 hours, it's as if you never had the infusion. And at $200 to $600 per infusion, most people can't afford to have daily infusions of glutathione, which is what you would need to get that stability. And doctors didn't know that. They were amazed. That's one of the reasons they swamped our booth, was to sign up for what we had, and they did sign up. Over 100 signed up to carry our products in their clinics, to become Neumi distributors, to take advantage of our PRP professional resellers program. It was amazing. And the 3 days we were there, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, they never stopped coming. We sold out a product on Saturday, and the people sponsoring it thought that they had plenty of product. They had 5 cases, and we had to wait a few hours for another 4 cases to be delivered. And then they sold out of that. It was amazing. And they learned a lot, and they were very grateful. In fact, the head of the conference, I mean, this is a multi-million-dollar conference, and the guy who brings it all about, and it's AMA sponsored, American Medical Association sponsored, the guy who is head of the whole thing became a Neumi distributor and signed up his clinics. So it was across the board, plastic surgeons and just estheticians, dermal therapists, skincare, and spas, they all were just overwhelmed by what we had, and we just couldn't get rid of the crowd. The crowd was always around our exhibit, even during general sessions when there was nobody out, about 125 exhibits. There was nobody at anybody else's when sessions were in process, and yet they continually flooded our exhibit, and it was just amazing. In fact, we got invited to do another one in October in Mexico City. Same thing, anti-aging doctors, and this is a whole different group, and so we'll be there as well. So Mexico is going to go crazy. But now, in case you don't know what we have, let me give you what we have. First of all, let's talk about glutathione, your body's miracle molecule. Glutathione is produced by every cell in the body, and what it does, there's nothing else in the world that can do it. In most cases, you may have other antioxidants, but they're nowhere like glutathione, and we'll show you the difference in a few minutes. But glutathione performs over 400 functions in our bodies. 15 of those are critical to life. For example, did you know your body manufactures 9,000 peptides? Though they ultimately join together, some join together and become bipeptides, tripeptides, some become proteins that are the building blocks of life. It's an amazing system. Well, 3,000 of those, 1/3 of all the peptides that our body produces and processes, couldn't be produced or processed without glutathione. That's one function. One of the most critical functions, when your body manufactures hemoglobin, the red blood cells, the whole purpose of hemoglobin is to bind together with oxygen and deliver that oxygen to every cell, tissue, organ, muscle, joint, bone matter, everything throughout the entire body. Problem is, when hemoglobin is manufactured, it has the wrong charge, electromagnetic charge, so it cannot bind to oxygen. It's like trying to bring north poles of magnets together. We all learned in school that dog doesn't hunt. And so hemoglobin, in order to bind oxygen, has to be reduced to what's called a positive 2. Once that reduction takes place, it can bind oxygen and deliver oxygen throughout the body. Glutathione is the sole reduction agent of hemoglobin. So without glutathione, there'd be no oxygen transfer. You take that nice deep breath. Everybody try it now. Go. Okay, there. I'm holding it in, but guess what? The oxygen won't go anywhere, no matter how many breaths I take, if it wasn't for glutathione. So that's critical. Take glutathione away, we're all dead from oxygen deprivation within a matter of minutes. That's one function. Another critical function, it is the sole protector of your immune system. We all learned in the last few years how important our immune system is in fighting off bacterial and viral invaders. And the immune system has to protect us. If it doesn't, we die or we get very, very sick. Well, guess what protects the immune system? Glutathione. Glutathione is the sole protector of the T cell and the B cell. Those are the two assassins that, when there's a bacterial or viral insult, reproduce and attack that bacteria or virus. Okay. Now, if you have low glutathione levels, the T cells and the B cells, they reproduce slowly while the bacteria or virus is reproducing rapidly. So guess who loses and guess who wins? Yeah, you're right. Well, if your glutathione levels are elevated, then the T cells and the B cells reproduce much more rapidly and they can get things under control. So glutathione is critical to our immune response. And there's over 169,000 published articles in PubMed on glutathione. And believe me, that's just at the very base. I was talking with a Harvard surgeon and doctor the other day. He's brilliant. He has 3 clinics. He no longer does surgery. He said, I got tired of reactive medicine and instead wanted to go into preventative medicine. So he's got 3 wellness centers, one in Palm Beach, one in New York City, and one in Martha's Vineyard. Guy's brilliant, has been around forever. And so he has always loved glutathione. And he too has used IV glutathione because it was the only kind of glutathione enhancement, he said, that he ever found that worked. Well, guess what? He got on our product, he got on our supplement, our nano glutathione, and he got on our spray, and he just bought $3,000 worth for his clinics, 2 cases, and just to get started. And man, what a feather in our cap to have him now as a Neumi family member. You'll be hearing from him. Brilliant. He and I've spent hours on the phone together. So anyway, so glutathione does those. What else does it do? It is the sole protector of the mitochondrial DNA. What does that mean? As long as the DNA maintains its structure and its integrity, the cell can't mutate. But when it's compromised or broken, then the cell is vulnerable to mutation. We don't want our cells to mutate. You know, that starts a cascading effect, and we won't even mention the word, but we don't want that. As long as we have adequate glutathiones and higher glutathiones, most cells won't mutate because we're protecting the mitochondrial DNA. Now, what breaks down the mitochondrial DNA? Well, it's the chemical load in the cell. For example, do you know that right now you have at least 200 industrial chemicals in your body? And glutathione is the primary detoxifier of the cell. It has a sticky sulfhydryl molecule that sticks to the toxin, the chemical, and escorts it out of the cell. Pretty cool. Now, they did a test back, 20 years ago, 30 years ago, the CDC, and they wanted to see how many of 143 industrial chemicals the average adult carried around. And do they carry around 10, 20, 12? If so, which ones do they carry around? And they didn't know. So they tested 2,000 people, 2,000 adults. And they were so shocked by the results, they didn't make them public for a while. The results showed that every single individual had all 143 chemicals in their body. Not good, because those chemicals damage the DNA. Now, a few years later, they decided how many of these chemicals end up in the fetuses. So they tested the umbilical cords of about 2,000 babies that had been delivered. And they wanted to see, this time they tested for 200 chemicals. And what does the average fetus carry around? Same answer. All 200 they tested for were in every single umbilical cord. And that was shocking and very disturbing. And so glutathione, as it turns out, is the detoxifier, as I mentioned. And we need our glutathione levels to get up. We need to raise glutathione levels. But that's not what glutathione is best known for. Glutathione is best known as the master antioxidant. Now, what I'm going to tell you about that is another thing that these doctors hadn't heard before, because they came up afterwards and we talked in the workshops, we talked in the main session. Well, we all know about antioxidants. What's the role of an antioxidant? Every cell in your body is attacked 10 to 20,000 times a day by free radicals. Now, a free radical is a scavenger or a thief. It wants to steal an electron from the cell. And when it does, it creates oxidative stress in the cell, which accelerates the aging of the cell. It also introduces inflammation to the cell. Everything that's bad happens when the free radical is successful. So to counter that, your body turns to antioxidants. Now, there are 2 types of antioxidants. There's the kind we bring in, exogenous antioxidants like vitamin C, vitamin E, CoQ10. Then there's the ones that are actually manufactured by the body, like superoxide dismutase, catalase, and glutathione. Now, all antioxidants have 1 electron to discharge, kind of like I grew up in Arizona, a 6-shooter that has 6 chambers for bullets, but there's only 1 bullet. So it fires off and sequesters or neutralizes the free radical, but now it's spent. It can't do any more good. And except glutathione recycles vitamin C and vitamin E up to 5 times. That means it reloads. So discharging an electron to neutralize a free radical, glutathione recycles it, do it again, recycles it, do it again, up to 5 times, okay? That's a miracle. Now, here's why they call glutathione the miracle molecule, because it recycles itself. It dispenses an electron that then sequesters the free radical, and then it makes another, it does another one, recycles so many times that science can't put a number on it. And the numbers I've heard have been amazing, but it just keeps doing that until it's completely obliterated, until that molecule can no longer do anything. So glutathione is your miracle molecule, but that's not why they call it the master antioxidant. You see, there's a spectrum of free radicals, different sources, different compositions, different structures. Each antioxidant can take out one type, but it can't take out any of the others. So vitamin C might take out that one, but it can't take out the others. Vitamin E might take out that one, but it can't take out the others. That's how they're all monofocus. They're like this hotel key. In Mexico City, that was my hotel key, and it would always open my door. But one night I forgot my number, not because I was I had drank something, because I don't drink, but just because I forgot my number. I didn't know if I was 2607 or 2606. I knew I was one of those, or I thought maybe 24. So I took my key up to one, red light, nothing happened. And then I went to another one, nothing happened. And finally I went to 2607, and I put it up, and a little green light comes on and the door unlocks. You see, the hotel key, like all those other antioxidants, are monofocused. It can only open one door, it can't open any others. Well, glutathione is like having the master key. A friend of mine owns a hotel chain, big hotels, 400 or 500 rooms, owns quite a few of them. And he has a master key to each hotel. Now, that master key will open any door, including the accounting department, including the kitchen, all the important ones, and any other room. That's pretty cool. That's a master key. That's what glutathione. It is the master antioxidant because it can sequester and neutralize any free radical, regardless of source, structure, or composition. Nothing else can touch that. I heard one scientist one time say, glutathione is not just the master antioxidant. It's 1,000,000 times more powerful, more important than all the other antioxidants combined. That's a pretty cool statement, especially from that scientist that I'm talking about. So anyway, that's the good news about glutathione. How does it affect you? It affects everything about you. It affects how your body works, how your organs work, how your tissues work, your skin, how your skin performs. Is your skin healthy? Does it get sick? Everything, every single thing about us, glutathione makes a huge impact on. And how you go through your day, physically and mentally, how fast you become fatigued physically and mentally, how fast you recover from that fatigue, how fast you recover from exercise. It affects everything. It's all glutathione dependent. So there's nothing, it is truly your miracle molecule. In fact, without glutathione, there'd be no oxygen-based life on Earth, which means there'd be no plants, no trees, no fish, no animals, no people. None of us would exist without that gift from God, that incredible glutathione molecule. Well, that's the good news. The bad news is it declines as we age by anywhere from 8 to 15% per decade. And so as it's declining, all the assault on the cells from the outside, the bacteria, the virus, the chemicals, the free radicals, they don't go down. They stay the same as they were when we were 20 years old. But now we don't have the bullets. Now we don't have the ability to defend. So what happens? Accelerated aging. We age prematurely. We age more rapidly than we should. More inflammation. We know that inflammation is our mortal enemy. Now let's go through the cycle one more time. Free radical that isn't extinguished, neutralized, or sequestered creates oxidative stress in the cell. The oxidative stress accelerates the aging of the cell and creates inflammation and makes the cell vulnerable to just about everything, okay? So bad news, it declines. So why don't we go to the store and buy glutathione capsules? Real easy. Glutathione and its precursor amino acid L-cysteine is very fragile. It has this little self-hydromolecule, kind of like a little flag, and that breaks, and then the whole thing breaks, and it becomes useless in the cell. It doesn't matter how much you take, it's not going to make it to the cells. It's going to just die in the digestive tract. Now, to get around that, people have come up with some pretty cool approaches, and some are pretty effective. One is L-cysteine, what some people have done with L-cysteine to help get the L-cysteine uptake more. And but most people attempt to either get glutathione through the digestive tract or L-cysteine with liposomes. A liposome is just a fat, a lipid, and they surround the particle with the fat to try to get it through the gut. Well, sometimes the molecule sizes are so big, the particle size are so big from wrapping them in a fat that they can't get throughout the body to every cell. Realize the average cell for a human is only 100 nanometers in diameter, and the pores, what you really want to get through, the pores are 10 nanometers or less. So, and if the liposome does get into the cell, what does your cell do with another fat? Fats are not water soluble. So there it is, stuck in your cell. Guess what it becomes? May become a sponge to some of those chemicals that we want to get out of the cell. Not good. Okay, so a few years ago, I met with some scientists, and they were nanoscientists. In fact, one in particular that we brought in as a partner in this company had been in the nano industry for 20 years. Nanosizing means reducing particle sizes so tiny that they can get to most places. Now, there's different types of to nanosize. You separate the particles in solution, then you have about 20 millionths of a second to encapsulate those particles with something. Some companies use chemicals. Don't need more chemicals in myself. Some companies, most companies, the vast majority, wrap those particles in little envelopes made out of lipids or liposomes, fats. Another problem. We found a way, our scientist did, oh, he's brilliant, and you'll meet him someday, to reorganize water molecules, ultra pure water molecules. Water is so pure, it's about 30 to 40% more pure than a hospital IV. And what happens is those particles, when they're separated, that ultra pure water comes in looking for something to cling on to, and all of a sudden we've got beautiful pure water molecules carrying our particles. And that's what we have. So we started out with a supplement, and the supplement, the particle size is small enough that you just swish it or hold it under your tongue, like a mouthwash, hold it under your tongue. There's a silent treatment. Somebody comes and talks to you. So there's a great way to end conversations, by the way, just ask them to swish. Anyway, so that goes on, and you can swish. We have athletes that'll swish for as long as 2 or 3 minutes, but we say 30 seconds. Swish, hold it under your tongue for 10 seconds, and swish for 20, 30, 45 seconds. Billions of particles are going to go right into your bloodstream, avoiding your stomach. Then we've got some particles in there that aren't glutathione and cysteine that are real wonderful cofactors, and they're not destroyed by the gut. So you go ahead, you swallow them, and you get some more absorption of some of those. So that's what we have. And what happened that was amazing, I knew if we really had it back in 2018, we would really change athletic performance. We would shorten the recovery time. And when you can radically reduce recovery time, what happens? The athletes can work out with more intensity, more frequency, and it changes everything. We also saw in an unscientific test, one that the NFL gave me that was a shortcut to a test, we saw an increase in muscle output and an increase in physical stamina that was amazing, and mental stamina. So we went ahead and in fact, we did some tests with the Air Force and with some truck fleets. And what we saw with the Air Force, we worked with the security team of a highly classified Air Force base. And these guys have 12-hour duty calls, plus they have to work out an hour and a half to 2 hours a day before or after their duty call. So they really, thank God for the military. And but to get through all that, they were on all these high caffeinated, stimulated drinks, so they didn't sleep well at night. So we went ahead and did a 4-month test. And do you know that within a week, they had all, without any prompting, any coaching, they had all gotten off their high caffeinated stimulant drinks or pills. And what happened, because you can swish anytime you need it, they would swish before their workout, then they'd swish after the workout. If they got tired 12 hours into their day or 10 hours into the day, they swish again. Because there's no stimulants, it won't keep you awake at night. Just the opposite, they were sleeping through the night like never before because they were off all those stimulants. Same thing happened with the truckers. And so anyway, I gave it to some athletes when we first developed this and got amazing calls. Performance went through the roof. Recovery times, way down. So one of my favorite athletes is a guy named Bill Gillespie. I've known him for years, more than a decade. And Bill was the strength and conditioning coach for the Seattle Seahawks. And since he was 14 years old, he was an amateur weightlifter. Well, when he was 49 years old in 2008, he set the world record in the bench press at 804 pounds. And so in 2018, 10 years later, when Bill was 59, I called him. I said, Bill, how you doing? And he said, oh, not so good, Steve. And I said, why? And he says, oh, you know what? I'm down to 700 pounds. Every year I lose more lifting power. He says, I can only lift heavy. That means reps of 500 pounds. I can only lift heavy once a week. I used to be able to lift heavy 4 times, 5 times a week. He says, I'm just really discouraged. So I sent him our product. I said, Bill, this could change everything. And boy, did it change everything. In 2 weeks, he added 25 pounds to his lift and he was all excited. Well, guess what? In 6 months, as a 59-year-old, his bench press went from around 700 pounds to 915 pounds. He was back in the game against the best in the world. And 6 months later, as a 60-year-old, he benched 1,050 pounds, setting a new world record as a 60-year-old. And he kept swishing and he could lift heavy 4 to 5 times a week. And he just retired this year as a 62-year-old in January. His last meet, his last lift, he set a record that they say may never be beaten. He bench pressed 1,129.8 pounds. Unbelievable. Does Bill, and if you ask him how, Bill, how did you do that? He says, hey, recovery so fast that I could lift heavy 4 to 5 times a week. I could work out muscles I hadn't been able to work out in a long time. And the proof was in the pudding. Well, anyway, so I gave it to another athlete that was a friend of mine, former combat veteran. She was a captain in the Army, then left the Army to have her 3 little boys. And she loves marathons. Don't ask me to explain that. She also loves 100-mile cycling events. So she had a 100-mile race coming up, and I sent her some. And in the first 35 miles, she broke her personal record. Man, couldn't believe it. 3 miles into the next leg, she got in an accident. Her bike went end over end. She hit the pavement so hard it broke her helmet, knocked her out, gave her a massive concussion. Her face hit the pavement at 22 miles an hour, and it was really bad. Well, in the hospital, she went to the hospital, of course, she was knocked out. And that was on Saturday. On Sunday, the plastic surgeon came in and said, you know what, that's going to take about 5 weeks or more to clear. And she said, once it's completely cleared, wait 60 days, 30 to 60 days, come in and see me, and we will treat the scarring. So Tammy gets home on Tuesday night. And she thinks, hey, this stuff's nano. So she pours some on a cotton ball, applies it to the affected areas. And then that was Tuesday night. She did it 3 times on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. By Sunday, her face was completely clear. Not a mark on her face, not a scar, not a scab, nothing. most amazing pictures you've ever seen. She sent them to me and I thought, oh my goodness, we probably have the world's best skincare product. Now I had owned 5 different skincare companies over the years that I had marketed the products on TV. I had Cher as a spokesperson for one, Kathy Lee Gifford, Angie Dickinson, Ali McGraw, a number of them. And what I love about skincare is you're helping people preserve their skin and look better and younger and so on. But what I hated about skincare is we never had any good before and afters until Botox came along, because Botox, it could reduce the appearance of wrinkles and pretty impressive. Some of their before and afters were really impressive. Well, when I saw this, I thought, oh my gosh, this is unbelievable. So I went ahead, I had poured our product in the spray bottles, sent it out to some friends. This is in 2018, 3 years before we started Neumi. And the before, I said, spray your face 5 times a day, do it for 7 weeks, 8 weeks, and let's see the before and afters. Well, the before and afters were unbelievable. Let's zoom in on this one. Yeah, this is Sherry Warner. This was in 2018, 3 years before we started Neumi. Now she's a Neumi Diamond, but in fact, did that in less than a year. And so Sherry sprayed her face 5 times a day for 7 weeks. These are 7 weeks between the before and the after. I got that, and a few others came in at the same time, and I thought, oh my goodness, nobody has anything like this. In fact, my former formulator, who was the president of the American Society of Cosmetic Chemists and was the senior vice president of the company that created Botox, I sent him Sherry's pictures and a few others, and he called me instantly. He said, Steve, nobody's ever had before and afters like this. It doesn't just reduce the appearance of fine lines and wrinkles. Look at it. It looks like she has a facelift. Look how much brighter and younger and healthier her skin looks. Look at the lift in the eyes. He said, I've never seen anything like that. I said, me neither. But then I sent him some more, and then he got even more excited. And here, let's look at the hands on the left. This is pretty cool. This was a 59-year-old spraying about 4 times a day, 3 to 4 times a day for 6 to 7 weeks. Look at the difference. And now we're getting before and afters from all over the world. And I will tell you, this is not uncommon. This isn't like, ooh, you'll never see that again. No, guess what? We see them every day. This lady on the left I love this one. She's in Australia. She's a Neumi associate, Neumi family member. Can we lower that, get a better framing on that, Michael? There we go. Thank you. And so she sprayed her face. This is 30 days. Look at the difference, how much smoother her complexion is. And of course, she tattooed her brows and lips. We didn't do that. And but look how much more narrow. Her face is tighter. And she said, I love it, except the only thing I don't like is everybody's asking me how I lost weight. And I didn't lose any weight. It's just my face tightened up and became more narrow. We call that inflammation, I think, reduced. Who knows? But anyway, it looks terrific. And she was blown away and we were blown away. Let's go ahead and let's look at another one. Move to the right. This is a wonderful lady in Miami, Florida. And she owns a skincare salon. She's an esthetician. And I goofed up here. Hold on. There we go. Thank you. Okay, I'm back. And that's in 8 days. She called me all excited. She owns her own skincare salon. She said, look at how much more smooth my skin is. Look how much brighter and the lift I'm getting around my eyes. And it's just most amazing thing she ever seen. Of course, she started carrying the product right away. And 8 days is that one. Let's go down another one. Down, down, down. Okay. I was much younger here. I was 71 and I sprayed my right hand about 4 or 5 times a day for 7 weeks, 8 weeks. And I didn't spray my left hand. Look at the difference. Look how much smoother, brighter, healthier my right hand looks than my left hand. And I just wanted a side by side. In fact, Ryan used to say, anybody that come visit it, Dad, show them your hands, show them your hands. And I was very disciplined then. I did it 5 times a day. Now I'm kind of lazy. Okay, let's go ahead and go down one more. And I love this story on the left. This lady is the mother of a physician, a doctor in Nigeria. And the doctor was treating one of our Neumi family members in Nigeria. She was treating Lillian because Lillian was really sick. And she said, "What is going on with your face? You look so much younger." And Lillian pulled out our Neumi skin and said this. And the doctor said, "Can I take some to my mom?" And she said, "Yeah." Lillian said, "Of course." And so she gave her some. And look at this. I don't know what happened. There we go. And her mom, this is less than 4 weeks. This is just about 3.5 weeks. And look how much younger, brighter her skin looks. Of course, glutathione does that. And there's a reason it does that. We won't get into it, but it's very cool. And just look at how much younger and healthier she looks. Her mom was amazed. The doctor was amazed. All of us were. So let's go ahead. That's enough of our slideshow. And let me just tell you, this is the biggest breakthrough I have ever experienced in my lifetime. This isn't just a company. This is a mission. We are going to make a difference in the life, the health, and the performance of millions of people in the next decade or two. And that's why we need you. We need you to join our Neumi family and be a part of this, because you change one life. Guess what? It goes on for generations, the impact of that change. We want to make financial improvement, of course. That's why we have a great compensation plan. One guy in the industry, an expert, said it was the most generous he had ever seen. I don't know what he's seen. I don't know if that's true, but I know we worked real hard with Michael and other field members to really make it the best of the best. And that's what we think we have. And I used to spend hundreds of millions of dollars in TV time to sell to the world our breakthroughs. Total Gym alone, which has done it's done billions and billions of dollars in sales. We've spent hundreds of millions in TV time. Well, this time, instead of putting that money into TV stations or into the pockets of the owners of Walmart or Costco or anything, we want to do it directly into our Neumi family members. And that's why we want you to join. Help us build the legacy. You change one life in your city, that person reaches out to somebody else that's visiting from another city, then it goes out of the state or province, then it goes out of the country. And before you know it, you're changing lives around the world. That's what I love about this business. So I hope you'll join us.